AITA for suing my aunt after she stole my identity to open credit cards, and the family says I'm heartless. 26F, never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am, being called heartless, vindictive, and cruel by half my family for doing something I thought was completely reasonable, protecting myself from financial ruin. Let me start from the beginning. I grew up in a large, close-knit Filipino family in Southern California. My parents immigrated here in the 90s, and we've always had that typical multi-generational household situation where family is everything, everyone is in everyone's business, and family takes care of family, is the unspoken law that governs every decision. My Aunt Celeste, Dad's younger sister, 48F, has always been part of our lives. She's the fun aunt, the one who brought presents for no reason, who took me and my cousins to the beach, who threw the best birthday parties. She lived with us on and off throughout my childhood whenever she was between situations, which happened fairly frequently. She had a string of failed businesses, a catering company that went under, a nail salon that closed after 6 months, an online boutique that never really took off. Each failure came with tears, family meetings, and eventually, financial bailouts from various relatives. But Aunt Celeste was family, and family helps family. That's just how it was. When I turned 18 and started college, I was focused on my education and working part-time at a campus bookstore. I wasn't paying much attention to things like credit scores or financial literacy. I was just trying to survive organic chemistry and pay for textbooks. My parents helped with tuition, I had some scholarships, and I lived at home to save money on housing. Fast forward to last year, when I was 25. I graduated with a degree in civil engineering, landed a great job with a construction firm, and was finally ready to make a big adult move, buying my first condo. I'd been saving aggressively for 3 years, living with my parents and banking most of my paychecks. I had $45,000 saved for a down payment and was so excited to finally have my own space. I got pre-qualified for a mortgage and started house hunting. Then, a week later, my mortgage broker called. "We need to talk about your credit report," she said, her tone serious. "Okay," I said, confused. I'd always paid my credit card on time, never had any loans. I thought my credit would be pretty good. "Your credit score is 548. I laughed because I thought she was joking. "That's not possible. I've never missed a payment on anything. I'm sending you a copy of your credit report right now. You need to review it carefully." When I opened that report, my stomach dropped. There were 7 credit cards I'd never opened. A personal loan for $15,000 I'd never taken out. A car loan for $22,000 that I knew nothing about. Collections accounts. Late payments going back years. The total debt in my name? Over $73,000. I immediately thought it was a mistake, some kind of identity theft from a data breach. I called the credit bureaus, reported fraud, and started the dispute process. Then I began calling the credit card companies to get more information about when and where these accounts were opened. That's when things got weird. The addresses on file for several accounts were addresses where I'd actually lived, my parents' house, my college apartment. The phone numbers were numbers I didn't recognize, but they had the right area code. Someone had detailed personal information about me. One credit card company sent me copies of the original applications. When I saw the signature, my blood ran cold. It wasn't my signature, but it was similar. Like someone had practiced copying my handwriting. And the application listed my mother's maiden name, which I'd never used as a security question anywhere, my father's middle name, and other details that only someone close to the family would know. I called one of the credit card companies and asked if they had any other information, specifically IP addresses or locations where the cards had been used. They couldn't give me all the details, but they confirmed that the billing address was my parents' house, and the shipping address for the physical cards had been my parents' house. Someone in my family had stolen my identity. I felt sick. I called my parents immediately and told them everything. My dad went pale, and my mom looked like she might cry. We started going through the timeline. When had these accounts been opened? Who had access to my personal documents? Most of the accounts were opened when I was 18 to 21 during the years when I was in college but still technically living at home. My social security card and birth certificate were in a filing cabinet in my parents' home office, a room that pretty much everyone in the family had access to when they visited. My dad asked the question we were all thinking: who would do this? We made a list of people who'd had regular access to the house during those years. It was a long list. We're a big family and someone was always staying over or visiting. But one name kept standing out. Aunt Celeste had lived with us for 8 months, right when I turned 18, after her nail salon business failed. She'd stayed in the guest room, which was right across from the home office. She'd been home alone frequently when my parents were at work and I was at school. I didn't want to believe it. This was my aunt, someone I'd loved and trusted my whole life. But the more we looked at the timeline, the more it made sense. The accounts had been open during the period she lived with us, plus a few more open the following year when she still had a key to the house and would stop by regularly. My dad called her and asked her to come over. His voice was shaking. When Aunt Celeste arrived, she was all smiles, asking what was wrong, saying she'd come right away because Dad sounded serious. We sat her down at the kitchen table, and my dad laid out all the evidence. Her face went through several emotions: confusion, shock, hurt, and then something that looked like calculation. Finally, she started crying. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. I was desperate. The salon was failing. I had creditors calling me every day. I didn't know what else to do. I felt like I'd been punched. "So, you stole my identity? You ruined my credit? I can't buy a house now because of what you did." "I was going to pay it all back," she insisted. "I just needed time. I thought I'd get a job, get back on my feet, and pay everything off before you ever needed to use your credit." "That was 7 years ago," I said. "You've had 7 years to pay it back, and instead, you just let it go to collections." She kept crying, saying she was ashamed, that she'd made a terrible mistake, that she'd been in a dark place. My parents sat there in shock. My dad looked devastated. This was his little sister. "What happens now?" my mom finally asked. "I have to report this to the police," I said. "It's the only way to clear my name and dispute the debt. I have to file a police report for identity theft." Aunt Celeste's head snapped up. "Police? You're going to have me arrested?" "I don't want to," I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, this was still my aunt. But I don't have a choice. The credit card companies won't remove the debt without a police report. I need documentation that this was fraud. "Please," she begged, grabbing my hand. "Please don't do this. I'll pay it back, I promise. I'll get a payment plan set up. Just don't call the police." "With what money?" I asked, pulling my hand away. "You're unemployed right now. You don't even have an apartment. You're staying with Tito June and Tita Marie. How are you going to pay back $73,000? She didn't have an answer. My dad, ever the peacekeeper, suggested we wait a few days before making any decisions. Let emotions cool down. Talk to a lawyer. Figure out the best path forward. I agreed, mostly because I needed time to process the fact that my aunt, someone I'd loved and trusted, had destroyed my financial future without a second thought. Over the next few days, I consulted with a lawyer who specialized in identity theft cases. He was blunt. "If you want to clear your name and remove this debt, you need to file a police report and press charges. There's no other way. The creditors need proof that you were a victim of fraud, and they won't accept just your word." I also learned that in California, identity theft is a felony if the amount exceeds $950. With $73,000 in fraudulent debt, Aunt Celeste was looking at serious criminal charges. I agonized over what to do. This wasn't some stranger, this was family. But every time I thought about letting it go, I remembered that I couldn't buy a house, that my credit was destroyed, that I'd worked so hard to save money and build a life, and she'd sabotaged it all for her own benefit. I filed the police report. The reaction from my family was immediate and explosive. My phone started ringing within hours. Relatives I hadn't spoken to in months were suddenly calling to tell me I was making a huge mistake. Aunt Celeste's siblings, I have 4 aunts and uncles on my dad's side, called a family meeting and demanded I attend. I went, with my dad by my side. My mom stayed home, saying she couldn't handle the confrontation. The meeting was at my Uncle June's house. All of my dad's siblings were there, plus several of my cousins, and even my grandmother, Lola, 82F. They sat me down like I was on trial. Tita Marie started. Do you understand what you've done? You've reported your aunt to the police. Your own family. She stole my identity, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She committed a crime against me. She made a mistake. Uncle Ramon jumped in. A mistake she's willing to fix. Why couldn't you just give her a chance to make it right? She's had 7 years to make it right, I said. She didn't. And now I can't buy a house. My credit is destroyed. I need to clear my name. Lola spoke up, her voice quiet but firm. In our family, we forgive. We don't send each other to jail. She won't go to jail if she pays restitution, my lawyer had told me. But even if she did, is that my fault? I didn't commit the crime. Uncle June shook his head. You're young. You don't understand how hard life can be. Your aunt was struggling. She made a bad choice, but she doesn't deserve to have her life ruined because of it. What about my life? I asked. Doesn't anyone care that my life was affected? That I've worked so hard for years, and now I can't achieve my goals because of what she did? Tita Marie got emotional. You're young. You have time to rebuild your credit. Your aunt is almost 50. If she gets a criminal record now, her life is over. She'll never get a job. She'll be homeless. Is that what you want? To make your aunt homeless? I want my identity back, I said. I want the debt removed from my name. That's all. My cousin Patrick, who's always been more progressive than the rest of the family, spoke up. Look, I get that this is complicated, because it's family. But what Annie Celeste did was seriously messed up. She didn't just borrow money. She stole someone's identity and destroyed their credit. That's not a small thing. Stay out of this, Patrick, Uncle Ramon snapped. This doesn't concern you. It kind of does, Patrick said. Because if we're all just going to excuse identity theft because family, then none of us are safe. That comment hung in the air for a moment before Lola dismissed it. Don't be dramatic. Celeste would never do this to anyone else. She was desperate, and she made one mistake with someone she thought would understand. I want to understand, I said. But I also need to protect myself. The police report is filed. I'm moving forward with disputing the debt. I'm sorry if that hurts the family, but I don't have another choice. The meeting ended badly, with several relatives calling me selfish and heartless. Tita Marie told me I was dead to her until I dropped the charges. Uncle June said I was breaking Lola's heart. My grandmother looked at me with disappointment and said, I raised my children better than this. I went home and cried for hours. My dad was torn. I could see he was struggling between supporting me and keeping peace with his siblings. He told me he understood why I filed the report, but he also asked if there was any way to resolve this without criminal charges. Not if I want to clear my name, I told him. Dad, I'm 26 years old. I'm supposed to be starting my adult life, and instead, I'm dealing with debt collectors calling me about accounts I never opened. This isn't fair. I know, he said quietly. You're right. It's not fair. But family is complicated. The police investigation moved forward. Aunt Celeste was interviewed, and from what I heard through the family grapevine, she admitted to everything. She claimed it was a one-time mistake born of desperation, and she seemed genuinely remorseful. The district attorney's office contacted me. They explained that they could pursue criminal charges, but they were also willing to work out a restitution agreement if Aunt Celeste agreed to pay back the full amount plus fees, and if she stayed out of trouble. I agreed to the restitution plan. I didn't want my aunt to go to jail. I just wanted my money back and my credit cleared. But even that wasn't enough for my family. Word spread that I was forcing Aunt Celeste into a repayment plan she couldn't afford. That I was being heartless and greedy. That a good niece would just forgive the debt and move on. The breaking point came 2 weeks ago at my cousin Jasmine's wedding. I debated whether to go, knowing the family tension was high. But Jasmine had specifically asked me to be there, and we'd always been close. So I went, hoping to just keep my head down and celebrate her big day. At the reception, I was seated at a table with several cousins. Things were going fine until Aunt Celeste walked in. She looked thin and tired, and when she saw me, her face crumpled. She walked over to my table. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. "I don't think that's a good idea," I said. "Maybe some other time." "Please," she begged. "I just want to apologize. Properly." Several family members were watching now. I felt trapped. "Okay, fine." We stepped outside to the venue's patio. She started crying immediately. "I know I messed up," she said. "I know I hurt you. But I'm begging you, please drop this. The restitution payments are killing me. I can barely afford food after I make the monthly payment. I'm working 2 jobs just to survive. Please have some mercy." "I'm sorry you're struggling," I said, and I meant it. "But that doesn't change what you did. You stole from me. You destroyed my credit. I need to be made whole." "I'm your aunt," she sobbed. "Doesn't that mean anything? Don't you have any compassion?" Before I could respond, Tita Marie appeared. "Leave her alone, Celeste," she said coldly. Then she turned to me. "Are you happy now? Look at her. You've destroyed her." "I didn't destroy her," I said, frustration rising. "She did this to herself. She made a mistake," Tita Marie said. "One mistake, and you're making her pay for it for the rest of her life." "It wasn't one mistake. It was 7 credit cards, a personal loan, and a car loan. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern of deliberate fraud." Other family members had gathered now, drawn by the raised voices. My dad appeared and tried to de-escalate, but Uncle Ramon started in on me about how I was tearing the family apart over money. "This isn't about money," I said. "It's about principle. It's about the fact that she committed a crime against me, and everyone is acting like I'm the bad guy for not just accepting it. Because that's what family does." Tita Marie shouted. "Family forgives. Family moves on. Family doesn't send each other to court. Maybe family shouldn't steal from each other in the first place." I shouted back. The argument spiraled from there. It got so heated that Jasmine, the bride, had to come outside and ask us to please stop ruining her wedding. I apologized profusely, congratulated her, and left. I cried the entire drive home. James, my boyfriend, 28M, was waiting up for me. He held me while I sobbed and told me I'd done nothing wrong, that my family was being unreasonable, that I deserved to protect myself. But the guilt was overwhelming. Was I being heartless? Should I just forgive the debt and move on? Was maintaining my credit worth destroying my relationship with half my family? Then, 3 days ago, something happened that changed everything. My cousin Patrick called me. His voice was shaking. "I need to tell you something," he said. "And you can't tell anyone I told you." "Okay." "Aunt Celeste did this to other people too. Not just you." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "What?" "She opened credit cards in my name when I was 19. I only found out about it a couple years ago when I tried to get an auto loan and my credit was trashed. She begged me not to report it, said she'd pay it back. Like an idiot, I believed her." "Patrick, why didn't you say anything?" "Because the family told me the same things are telling you, that she made a mistake, that family forgives, that I shouldn't ruin her life over it. So I just absorbed the debt. I've been paying it off for 3 years now. It's about $12,000 total." I was speechless. "And that's not all," Patrick continued. "I started asking around, quietly, to cousins I trust. Auntie Celeste did it to at least 3 other people. Maybe more." "Who?" "Cousin Andrea found out last year that Auntie Celeste opened a credit card in her name. About $8,000 in debt. Andrea confronted her. Auntie Celeste cried and apologized, and Andrea ended up just paying it off herself to keep the peace." "Oh my God." "Cousin Marco is the 3rd one I know about for sure. He's never said anything publicly, but he mentioned to me once that he had credit card issues that he didn't want to talk about. When I pressed him yesterday, he admitted that Auntie Celeste opened 2 cards in his name when he was in college. He's been paying them off for years." I sat down, feeling dizzy. "She's done this to multiple people?" "At least 4 that I know of, probably more. And you're the only one who's fighting back. Everyone else just absorbed the debt because the family pressured them into staying quiet." "Patrick, why are you telling me this now?" "Because I've been listening to the family crucify you for doing what I should have done. what we all should have done. And I realized that by staying silent, I enabled her. I let her get away with it, which made her think she could keep doing it. If I'd reported her years ago, maybe she wouldn't have done it to you. Maybe you'd have your house by now. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't stand up earlier. But I'm standing up now. If you need witnesses or statements or anything to help your case, I'll provide them. And I'm going to talk to Andrea and Marco about coming forward too. After I hung up with Patrick, I just sat there in shock. This wasn't a one-time desperate mistake. This was a pattern. A system. Aunt Celeste had been systematically stealing from her own family members, specifically targeting young people who wouldn't know to check their credit for years. And the family had helped her get away with it by pressuring her victims into silence. I called my lawyer the next morning and told him everything. He said this information significantly strengthened the case and proved a pattern of behavior. He also said that if other victims came forward, they could each file their own reports, which would potentially lead to more serious charges. Patrick, true to his word, contacted Andrea and Marco. Andrea was hesitant at first. She'd already paid off the debt and didn't want to rehash everything. But when Patrick explained that Aunt Celeste had done this to at least 4 family members and was facing no real consequences, Andrea agreed to file a report. Marco took more convincing. He was worried about his parents' reaction. Tita Marie and Uncle June are his parents, and they've been most vocal about defending Aunt Celeste. But eventually he agreed. In the span of 48 hours, 3 more police reports were filed. The district attorney's office reached out to me again, saying this new information changed the scope of the case significantly. And that's when my family truly exploded. Tita Marie called me screaming that I'd recruited other family members to gang up on Aunt Celeste. Uncle Ramon sent a long text calling me vindictive and saying I wouldn't be happy until Aunt Celeste was in prison. Several relatives blocked me on social media. But there were also surprising allies. Cousin Andrea's mom, Tita Beth, who'd been relatively quiet during all this, called to apologize for not taking it seriously earlier. She admitted she'd known about Andrea's situation and had pressured her daughter to let it go, but now realized that was wrong. I was trying to keep the peace, she told me. But there's no peace in letting someone hurt people without consequences. I'm sorry. Uncle Danny, my dad's eldest brother, who'd been neutral until now, called a family meeting. Unlike the last one, this meeting included only immediate family, my dad and his siblings, no extended cousins or in-laws. My dad told me what happened at that meeting. According to him, Uncle Danny laid out everything for confirmed victims, over $100,000 in total fraudulent debt, years of deception. He asked Aunt Celeste directly if there were any other victims they didn't know about. She initially said no. Then, after pressed further, she admitted there might be 1 or 2 more, but she couldn't remember the details because it was so long ago. 1 or 2 more. Uncle Danny then did something unexpected. He told Aunt Celeste that he loved her, but she needed to face real consequences for what she'd done. That the family had enabled her for too long. That by constantly bailing her out and pressuring her victims into silence, they'd made her problem worse, not better. Tita Marie and Uncle Ramon disagreed vehemently. They argued that turning against Celeste would destroy her, and that families should stick together no matter what. The meeting ended with the siblings more divided than ever. But the tide was starting to turn. More family members were reaching out to me privately to express support. Some apologized for their initial reactions. Some asked questions about how to check their own credit or their children's credit. And then yesterday, the most unexpected thing happened. My Lola, my 82-year-old grandmother, who'd been so disappointed in me, called. I need to check something, she said without preamble. How do I look at credit report? I walked her through accessing her credit report online. With my dad's help, Lola isn't great with technology. She was quiet for a long time as she reviewed it. Then, there is a credit card here I don't recognize. From 6 years ago. My heart sank. What's the balance? $4,300. And it says many late payments. It is in collections. Lola, did you ever give anyone permission to use your information? Another long pause. Celeste lived with me 6 years ago. For almost a year. She said she needed to rebuild her life after another business failed. I gave her money for food, for gas. I thought I was helping her. She sounded so tired.
So betrayed.
She stole from me too, Lola said quietly. From her own mother. I didn't know what to say. You were right, Lola continued. I told you that you were heartless, but you were right. This is not a mistake. This is who she is. I'm sorry, Lola. Don't be sorry. I am sorry. Sorry I judged you. Sorry I did not protect my grandchildren. Sorry I told you to forgive when you deserved justice. She hung up shortly after, saying she needed to think. This morning, my dad called to tell me that Lola had filed her own police report. His voice was heavy with emotion when he told me. My mother, my 82-year-old mother who's never even gotten a parking ticket, had to file a police report against her own daughter, he said. How did it come to this? Because Aunt Celeste made choices, I said. And people protected her from the consequences until it got this bad. The current count, 6 confirmed victims, me, Patrick, Andrea, Marco, Lola, and one more cousin who came forward yesterday. Over $110,000 in total fraudulent debt. The district attorney is now treating this as a serious case of organized fraud, not just a family dispute. Aunt Celeste has been formally charged with multiple counts of identity theft and fraud. The family meeting happened last night. I wasn't there, but my dad filled me in. Apparently, Aunt Celeste finally admitted the full scope of what she'd done. There are potentially 2 more victims she used credit cards on, but the accounts are so old they might be past the statute of limitations. The family is shattered. Some people are still defending her, saying she's sick and needs help, not punishment. Others are furious that they were manipulated into protecting her. Several relatives have stopped speaking to each other over this. My parents have been supportive, but I can see the toll this is taking on them. My dad especially, this is his sister, and watching his family implode is destroying him. James keeps telling me I did the right thing, that I protected myself and inadvertently protected others by bringing this to light. My therapist, yes, I started therapy because of all this, agrees that I set appropriate boundaries and that the family's reaction is about their own guilt and discomfort, not about my actions. But I still feel like the villain. I'm the one who filed the first police report. I'm the one who started all this. I'm the one who brought criminal charges against my aunt. Even though I know, logically, that she brought this on herself. I can't shake the feeling that I'm tearing my family apart. So, Reddit, AITA for suing and pressing charges against my aunt after she stole my identity, even though it's destroyed my family relationships and potentially sent a 48-year-old woman to prison?